Okay. I think I got it working. While I'm waiting on people to show up, I'm going to take a look at some of these to see if these actually exist, because I don't recognize any of them. I thought that the Space Wolves only had 1 or 2 successor chapters. Let me look this up. The Black Mains. Let me try that one. Oh, these aren't successor chapters. They're just the companies. They're one of the companies. Oh, that explains it. You can't have successor chapters. You just make a company. Got it. Got it. Ah. Ah. Now I understand. Now I get it. Still dumb. You will always be cringe to me. The Champions of Fenris! Ooh. Ooh, you know what? I'll get that one. And that one. I'll just get all that. I'll just get all that right now. But you will never, ever be able to touch the Dark Angels. It just makes me mad that we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 successor chapters of the Dark Angels here. But we get 12 of you furries. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Effing 12. Ugh. And again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of the Raven Guard. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of these guys, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 of the Ultramarines. Yeah, I know who you guys favor. Ugh, pick the fuck. You know, I can deal with the Ultramarines. I can accept them to a certain extent. I can accept that the Ultramarines are a thing. But the Space Wolves annoy me. And it was weird, you know? It was very weird. I used to kind of accept the Space Wolves. I used to kind of say, okay, you know what? They're kind of a thing. I'm not a big fan, but they're okay. They're not that bad. And now I am actively against them. I am 100% anti-Space Wolf. Like, they actually annoy me. They actually irritate me. They actually get under my skin. I'm just like, no. No. F the Space Wolves. F them. God, he's an effing furry. You can't tell me that's not an effing furry. Disgusting. Space Wolf, we don't use the warp. Yeah, F that. F everything about that. Why the Space Wolves hate? They're terrible. They're terrible. Question, why do most Dark Angels flee at Karn the Betrayer or refuse to fight him? They don't. What are you talking about? The Chapter Master of the Dark Angels, Azrael, literally dueled Karn the Betrayer and almost killed him. The only reason he didn't was because he knew that if he tried to make the fatal blow to Karn, Karn would have killed him too, and then the Dark Angels would have lacked a leader. So he could have killed Karn and had himself killed in the process, but the Dark Angels would have been leaderless, and he knew that the Dark Angels needed their leader. They don't avoid Karn. They just knew that it wasn't an optimal time to kill him. It's just with the Companies of Wolves and not any of their 5 successors. Might I be willing to inquire why? Why what? Why what, brother? Yeah, the wolf pelt looks terrible. The wolf pelt looks awful. It just looks so gross. Alright, well, let's get ready to do a mission. Let's try out this new mission, shall we? Try this new mission. It's called Exfiltration. We'll start off on minimal, just to get our feet wet. Why do most of the Grey Knights look down upon the Exorcist chapter? Because the Exorcist chapter allow their initiates to be possessed by a demon. It looks like Luna from Hell of a Boss. I'm gonna sound stupid. Who's Luna? Sylvaris, well, thoughts on the Thousand Sons? I'm not a fan of them either. I feel bad for them more than anything. They're the weakest Chaos Legion by far. But yeah, Sylvaris, I'm not a fan of the Space Wolves because there's so much wrong with them. They are massive Gary Stews. They're enormous hypocrites, and are never called on it. They get away with things that no other chapter could ever get away with, and they have no significant flaws to speak of. Every flaw they have is very much overlooked, and I think that's ridiculous. Luna is the Hellhounder in this case, the Space Wolf. Look here. Again, I don't know what that is.
Patron has defied multiple summons to withdraw from the Mechanicus facility on Avarax, and we do not know why. Captain Akaran has tasked me to aid in your retrieval of the Magos biologists before the Tyranids completely engulf the mining base, causing unnecessary loss of data. Honored to perform our duty, Magos.
Have you thought of doing a character theme song for each chapter? I might. Alright, let's do this, boys.
Suboptimal to mission deployment and evacuation. This is as close as I can get you to the Longinus Gamma facility.
If you were reborn as the Emperor of Man, what would you change? Everything! The Emperor of Man made so many... Oh my!
Take heed, Viridian. Trigon target acquisition vectors are unknown. Best to keep moving and stay together. Projecting a sense of tactical dominance may deter it from attacking. For now.
Reverse with caution, brothers. If there's not a soldiers who stand and strike.
Whoa!
Swapping magazine.
We got company.
Tyranny! That one calls for we dig in and fortify this position. Speed up and stay close. Runners won, brothers.
Just had to swing by and rep the Blood Ravens for the Angel. Blood Ravens are fine. I don't mind the Blood Ravens. We gotta keep moving.
Reloaded.
Just dodged it.
Trigon. It seeks to engage us, brothers.
Go.
Disgusting Tyranid scum.
I think we're safe in here for the time being.
Picking up extra rounds. My wrist. Speed up and stay close.
Anyway, I was watching one of your old executions and it raised a question. Since it seems you know a decent bit about human body, is the amount of damage the heroes take in front realistic or not? It depends highly on what weapon is being used against them and where they're being hit. Honestly, no. A lot of the damage that they take are not things that you could realistically undergo and survive, or at least come back unscathed. So, yeah, a lot of that is fabricated, I won't lie. That's such a good line. Purification by frag grenade. Get down here. Get down here.
Clear a blast radius. The hive mind load tower.
There, he's done. Alright guys, let's get going. Not sure where we're going, but we're going. Looks like we need to go that way, but I'm pretty sure the big guy ain't gonna let us. What are my thoughts on the White Scars and the Raven Guard? I love them both. The Raven Guard are really cool, and the White Scars are criminally underrated.
Singular purpose. Prospect deep scan ready. Watch for the beast. Kill that world, lest it summon aid.
Come on, buddy. Crap. There we go. What about thoughts on the Sons of Sigismund? You mean the Black Templars? They're awesome. But tonight, I'm just gonna talk about my hate for the Space Wolves and my love for the infinitely superior Dark Angels. Oh, I'm almost out of ammo. Who do you hate more, the Space Wolves or the Ultramarines? The Space Wolves. The Ultramarines I can kind of understand. The Space Wolves are way worse. Whoa, what the? Lictor, you son of a...
Approaches. This location provides sufficient advantage against the tribe.
I'm glad I have an armor boost, but I need ammo.
Speed up and stay close. Runners one, brothers.
Alright. We're in, boys. Ammo, thank goodness.
Ammunition cache here. War gear acquired.
What now? This isn't quite as linear as most missions.
Trigon assault incoming.
Let's see if we can't find our way in.
We hold this ground, not the beast.
A lift station lies just ahead, Meridian. Considering the Trigon's presence is incidental to our objective, utilize the lift to reroute closer to Metrian's keep.
Alright, we found our way.
For the expedited route.
Alright, we're going in.
I have summoned the transport lift. Remain patient. Transport lift inbound.
Perplexing. I have transmitted no authorizations.
Perhaps we can disorient the beast if we reposition frequently.
Transport lift status incomprehensible.
Ceases.
Warlords never get seen. But rarely is it this little.
Sorry I'm so quiet, guys. I've never played this mission, so I'm having to learn it.
Now to the lift.
Alright, we're in. Have you seen the leaks about a potential Techmarine class? I have not. That'd be cool. I prefer a librarian, but this is fine. It's a start. Alright. Hello, warrior. My teammate is a space furry. You have my sympathies.
Please do not disturb the lift. It would be a waste. I have no music to play while you descend. Use the silence to contemplate your futile, brutal existence in service to a desiccated cause.
Never have I encountered a servo skull that speaks in such a manner.
Meridian, the servo skull is enslaved to an unknown master.
Irritant signal silenced. To discuss your fate amongst yourselves. It changes nothing.
No, the servo skull, brothers, is clearly malfunctioning.
A suggestion: abandon Gallio's misguided vendetta against the Maker's biologists. In return, Gallio and Metrian achieved to claim the past. Ask about Project Zeta-6 if you ever speak.
Were I bothered by the servo skull's incessant calls, I'm stupid myself.
Got it.
Your righteous reek is a beacon to the Tyrians, drawing you closer and closer.
I have never encountered a servo skull malfunction like this before. Servo skull savages really beyond their lifestyle. Remember that, brothers.
There we go.
Another Xenos bioform eliminated.
There we go. Let's go to that sniper. He's annoying me.
The Residius system will be your
We made our Primarch proud this day.
We make our Primarch proud. Of course we do. For the Lion Brothers.
The thickness of these walls should provide ample time for the recitation of battle litanies.
I do not trust the Xenos to remain idle while we elude it. Pathetic tyranny.
Here, you. Bring it in, buddy. Are salamanders furries? No, they're just Bernie boys. Raven, where the black timbers there on worn wood. sorry, what? Is this the wrong way? Oh no, here we go.
Full specs ready to scan. That is the biggest tyranny I have seen.
Before the day's end, it shall die at our hands.
I was worried you had fallen victim to Mitrian's mastery of malphonic disruptive frequencies, but now the uncomfortable sensation associated with relief cools my remaining skin. Be warned, Viridian. Mitrian cannot hope to stand against you alone, so she will lie and store in hope the Xenos swarm will devour you. Case in point, she has enslaved that servant skull as a crude malfeasance. But give her word zero credibility for the mission's sake. And your own.
I trust you will hold this Ignoel Mitrian accountable for her sins, Magos.
I would hope. Damn, Raven, all my favorite legions. I'm sorry, bro. I call it like it is. Alright, we gonna fight? Let's go.
Summon legions of Xenos.
Stratis, the facility is well stocked in mining gear. Requisition melter charges to eradicate the tunnels and halt the infestation.
Melter munition should be nearby.
Execution, decapitation, desiccation, filtration, dismemberment, disembowelment, drowning,
Without melter
dissection,
charges, we will be overrun. Our strategy hinges on melter charges.
Oh, I need to get melted charges?
Keep searching for melter charges, brother.
We've got to use melted charges to eradicate the tunnels. Got it.
I have a melter charge. Clear a path.
Melter demolition store cache or destroyed.
Sterilize these burrows of Xenos.
Alright, you gotta find another. You gotta find another. Hold on. If the Faithfuls were furries, they would have joined Horus. Horus's Luna wolves weren't all that obsessed with wolves, though. That was just their name. They weren't all that obsessed with wolves, though. The Space Wolves are very much obsessed with wolves, to the point that they will even turn into giant wolves. They're Vikings in space. In aesthetics only. They are about as different from actual Vikings as it is possible to be.
Purify their infected tunnels with the melter charges.
behind you, where your corpses shall soon rot.
Reagan, is there any way to fix the Space Wolves, or are they doomed to remain furries? They are Gary Stews from the word go.
We broke the Xenos onslaught.
Is there any Space Marine chapter that is Roman themed? Yeah, the Ultramarines. The Ultramarines are heavily Roman inspired. Oh shit. I just like the aesthetics. Okay, you can like the aesthetic. You're free to like the aesthetic, that's fine. They're still shit. Like, that's what I always tell people, like, if you like the aesthetics of something, I mean, I can't take that from you. You can totally like it. You can totally enjoy that. But, if I say I still think that they're crap overall, they'll be like, oh, but they're good. No, they're really not. Their lore's terrible. They're about as consistent as a politician's pledge. They're incredibly hypocritical. What would Horus do first? Depends on if he's loyalist or not. Do any Space Marines speak Latin? The entire language of the Imperium is High and Low Gothic, which is basically Latin.
Gallia, old friend of mine. If you missed our binaric discourses, you could have sent communication. I observe you still pathetically cling to views of soft tissue. Remember, meat lacks efficiency, whereas metallic alloys stave off corrosion and degradation for far longer.
How far you have fallen, and I must drag you back into
Nothing but a shadow in the wall and its myriad secrets. But I do.
How are the Space Wolves, Gary Stews? I'll be releasing a whole video on them soon enough, but trust me, you'll find it funny. I'll talk about... Let me get through this mission, and I will just lay into the Space Wolves, okay? You'll get an early sneak peek of my upcoming video.
War gear acquired. All specs primed.
Weebs. What are weebs, Jonathan? I like the Thousand Suns because they're mage boys that were dealt a bad hand and became underdogs. I mean, that is one reason to like them. I definitely can agree with that. Jonathan, who are weebs? Who are you talking about?
No telling what surprises await.
Behold the truth of my faults. I am but a humble grain, patched into a mining facility, and nothing more. What reason exists to pull me from recording biomass coalescence data firsthand? I pose no threat to Gallia or the Imperium, even if I should fall.
Disconnect her synaptic tethers from the facility command terminals. Stand firm. I expect her to route Xenos to assault your locus.
Hold this territory.
Now that Xenos bioform eliminated.
Restock some ammo. Okay. There we go. Alright, let's do this.
Activating all specs advanced.
There we go. White men who like katanas are weebs. I have a collection of swords, and they include katanas. It is funny to get people irrationally irritated at calling people weebs. Jonathan, are you just trying to be a troll right now? People don't like being called weebs because it's demeaning, and you know it's demeaning. That's why you're calling them that. If you didn't think it was demeaning, you wouldn't call people that. It's kind of like calling someone a very inappropriate slur and saying, why are you all getting upset by it? It's like, okay, I mean, you know why we're getting upset by it because you're saying it. And we weren't even talking about weeds in the first place. I am indeed a troll and proud of it. But dude, we weren't even talking about it.
Summation of our divine arithmetic from long ago. Remember Project Zeta 6?
As my theorems predicted, your life vector has converged with renegade factors, and Zeta 6 was a waste of computational resources and one perfectly good promise. Surrender now, and perhaps leniency can be granted. After the mind grows, of course.
You are a redundant functionary. Your Astartes shall die here, alone, in the dark.
Picking up extra rounds.
Alright. Apparently I have to carry this thing. I'd love some new classes, Luke.
This power cell should work.
Take the power cell to the generator.
I need y'all to cover me.
Show them carnage.
Alright, I need to put this down. Hold on.
Stim injection administered.
Holy crap! Holy crap! What's going on? Give me a shield, please. Hey, Mio.
Protecting my city.
There we go.
Exterminating.
Do I like the new things they added to Space Marine?
Tyranny.
I'm just not a fan of the Space Wolves or the Imperial Fists, so... I mean, it's just not my thing, you know? If other people like them, that's fine. Now, where is the power cell?
Fresh munitions. Moment, brothers.
Alright, where's the power cell?
All specs ready to scan. Ammunition cache here.
Here it is.
I have a power cell.
The generator.
Brothers, I need you to cover me.
Exterminate the Tyranid swarm.
Almost there. There we go. Do I look like I give a fuck?
Stalling tech.
Bro, what is your deal, man?
The Emperor's justice.
Futile, impotent waste of gene seed. You trifle with the only hope against the hive mind the Imperium has left.
Disgusting Tyranid scum.
Alright, I need this execution. I need it quick. Damn, this is a hard mission. Ah, shit.
Area cleansed of the foul Xenos threat.
Thank you for the banner, brother. No offense, but you're feeding the troll. Well, my problem is I don't know why he's being a troll. I've defended him in the past. I've tried to work with him. Thought he was a fan, thought he was a friend. So I'm just trying to understand what's going on here. But if all he wants to do is insult me and my community, I mean, I'll just get rid of him. Sad as it is. Oh, you gotta be kidding. A zoanthrope now?
Return to Metrian's containment unit. See, Metrian, the more you thrash, the deeper you set our hooks. These tender drops of Astartes' flesh have accomplished nothing, Gallia. My machinations are already achieving my designs. You are fools, pests. Silence, Metrian. Meridian, confirm possession of her quivering mass of computational gray matter.
Swapping that.
The pulpous grey matter is in our grasp, Magus.
Pilot, Meridian is ready for evacuation. Sending updated extraction coordinates to you now, Meridian.
Alright, we gotta evacuate now. Good, good, good. Ready to get out of this place.
Another Xenos bioform eliminated. Ammunition cache here.
So, how do we get out of here? This place is one giant maze, isn't it? I'm guessing it's this way. So, yeah, wait. In all fairness, I'm 3 beers into the night. I don't. To quote you, do I look like I give a fuck? And you did title the stream by saying my favorite chapter sucks. Well, they do. I didn't say you suck. And your behavior has nothing to do with that. If you wanted to disagree, you could have said, hey man, that's my favorite chapter, why do you think they suck? Instead, you started talking about something that did not matter.
Chapter's colours.
Pathetic tyranny of abomination.
Oh my. There are a lot of those.
Sending front.
Alright, they're dead. Let's move on. Sorry guys, I'll respawn in a minute. I'm a little distracted. What do you got against Space Wolves? Let me finish the mission, and I will lay out my issues with the Space Wolves. I'm a Black Templars man myself. I don't got nothing against the Black Templars.
Stay close and sharp. Ammunition cache here.
Alright. Alright, what we got? What we got? Check Discord when I get a chance? Sure, man. I will. Dude, what a beast.
I cannot land with that Armoury abomination lurking about. Deep scans have penetrated the atmospheric disturbances, and Metreon's meddling code. Trigon vulnerability data pushed to your displays. The Imperium demands the Trigon's extermination.
The Imperium demands his extermination? So, in other words, the Guild authorizes you to hunt this beast. Acknowledge. Come on, big guy. I will unload my magazine. His issue with the Space Wolves are Vikings pure and simple? No. That is not my issue. In fact, my issue with them is they're nothing like Vikings other than the aesthetics. They're nothing like Vikings other than, oh, they look like Vikings. That's it. They don't do anything like Vikings do. They don't behave like Vikings. They don't live like Vikings. They literally look like Vikings, talk like Vikings, but they aren't Vikings. They're a horrible representation of a Viking faction. Conan the Barbarian is a better Viking than the Space Wolves. Shoot.
The thermal power of the Imperium of this infestation.
Alright, later, bro. Later, Fiercy.
Purify their fetid tunnels with the melter charges.
I'm trying, bro, but you gotta keep these things off me.
The Xenos blight the galaxy, and our hatred is the only cure. Guard the melter charges on top of their moldering passageways.
There, we took care of it. Can I heal now? Aesthetics matter? They're not the only thing that matter.
Purify their fetid tunnels with the melter charges.
I hate these rancid vermin, but killing them is gratifying.
Place melter charges on the Xenos swarm spots.
You want to come out of the ground now, big guy? Oh, we gotta put to bed another tunnel. That's what's up. Ah, this is an annoying mission. I'm not sure if I like it.
Only aberration alive, brothers.
Treat the Xenos crawl rays with the melter charges.
Guard yourself, brothers.
All specs engaged.
Come on, baby. Can't be all you can do.
Fresh magazine in.
Come on, big guy. This thing has a lightning effect for the tail. That's kind of cool.
All specs ready to scan.
Come on out, buddy.
Injecting stimulus.
There.
Confirmed. My congratulations, Viridian. The mission is a success, despite the odds. This errant Magos should receive repercussions for her maladaptive behaviors. Ignoel Metrian and the historical dataset she possesses are for Mechanicus eyes only. But rest assured, she is in trustworthy hands now. You have my gratitude for your efforts, and I shall recommend some honorifics for your service, of course. There is much to pass, much to learn, and much to reminisce about.
All right. My first time playing that mission. That was fun. That's a very fun mission. Hard as hell at certain points, but the boss battle's very unique. I like that it's not like really an annoying just slugfest. You actually have to think about what you're doing. The only really annoying part was the power cell part. That was the part I didn't like. That was the only part I didn't like. But anyway, all right. So now I will gladly tell you guys why I don't like the Space Wolves. Let me get back to the barge, and I will tell you guys everything about why I don't like the Space Wolves. This is a preview to my video about why I don't like them. Raven, what are your thoughts on the Sisters of Silence? Yeah, I like them. I think they're cool, but they don't do nearly enough. Because the fact is, everyone in the world of Warhammer 40k, people only care about the Space Marines, and that's why they get the most books, why they get the most information. So. Alright, nice. Nice. I love it. Alright, let's see what I get. Level 16, cool. Get a new chest piece, cool. Alright. So, let me get over here, and we'll talk. I'll tell you everything. I promise I will. All right. Let's get over here. What's this do? Enemies marked by Auspex can take an additional 75% damage if the mark's duration is reduced by 4 seconds. I prefer that. I prefer the one I already have. I mean, it's not bad, but I prefer what I have. Alright. Cool. Alright, so, why I don't like the Space Wolves. Here we go. So, let's talk about this. I do want to talk about this. Okay, here we go. First and foremost, the Space Wolves, everyone loves them because they're Vikings, right? Like, oh, they're the Vikings. They're the Viking Space Marines. Okay. They're really not. They are really not Vikings. Okay, let me be real. They are nothing like historical Vikings, other than how they look. They are nothing like historical Vikings. Like, for example, what did the Vikings do historically? They raided. They stole. They pillaged. The Sons of Fenris, the Space Wolves, don't do that. In fact, they go to war with the Inquisition over doing stuff like that. They went to war with the Inquisition because the Inquisition tried to kill innocent people, and they said, nah, fam, we don't let that happen. The Space Wolves never do that. Why don't they ever do that? And people say, oh, because they're the good guys. You know the Vikings weren't good, right? The Vikings did bad things historically. Let's go further than that. The Vikings also settled in new territories. The Space Wolves literally can't, because Fenris is just so gosh darn special. The Space Wolves are incapable of settling on new planets and new territories. Literally, nothing, no sun other than a Fenrisian sun can become a Space Wolf. That means that they are limited to only recruiting from Fenris. Now you might think, well, doesn't that make them more special? Yes, which leads into their Gary Stu quality. If you want a Gary Stu Space Marine chapter, but you don't want the Ultramarines, get the Space Wolves. Because the Space Wolves can just basically do anything that other chapters can't do. Want to talk about it? Let's talk about it. Here's something you may not know. This is kind of crazy. Get this. So, when the Emperor was going around trying to find his lost sons, his lost Primarchs, right? When he found them, most of his sons had already gotten these close followers, like these close warriors that fought alongside them. And when he said, hey man, come join up with me, we're going to go on the Great Crusade, you're going to get your own Astartes, the sons usually said, hey dad, I'll do it, but these guys are my brothers. They fought with me for years since being here. I'd like them to become Astartes too. But the Emperor pointed out, you should know, there's usually an age requirement. You usually need to be very, very young to become an Astartes. Otherwise, if you're an adult, it would kill you. There's a chance they'll live, but not a very high one. I mean, there's not a very high chance that they'll escape from it, you know? Even the Lionel Johnson, the first son of the Emperor, most of his friends, including Luther, couldn't become Astartes. They couldn't. They went through a sort of augmentation to make them like Astartes, but they weren't Astartes. However, Leman Russ, the Primarch of the Space Wolves, not only did most of his friends make it to become Astartes, not only did the majority of them get there, they actually had a rationale for why. Two reasons. Number one, apparently Leman Russ's gene seed is just so super special awesome that it overrid the age qualifications. And two, Fenris is just such a gosh darn awesome special planet that most of its children, most of the people born there, are just too hardy. They're just too good. They're too strong. They're that tough. I'm sorry. Caliban. You know, a death world where literal warp abominations are trying to eat the people en masse, and there are literally people there who have fought as knights for generations to protect humanity. They're just not hardy enough. They don't go through it enough. It's just not the same. And again, Leman Russ's gene seed is just that special. I'm sorry, Lionel Johnson, the first son of the Emperor, the numero uno, the one from which all other Primarchs were forged. His gene seed just isn't good enough. His seed just isn't good enough. Sorry, I guess you just had to be special like Leman Russ. Let's go beyond that. Let's go into their hypocrisy. The Space Wolves hate Psykers. They hate Psykers, guys. Yeah, they hate them. They think that Psykers are sorcerers and bad and should be hated, and they should not be part of any Space Marine chapter because Psykership is bad. Kindly don't look at the Rune Priests. What are the Rune Priests? Oh, you know, they're just Space Wolf Psykers. Now hold on, you might be saying, how are they Space Wolf Psykers? Oh no, see, they're special because they draw their power from special little runes they draw in their armor and weapons, and from their intense love of Fenris. The power of Fenris just flows through them. Now there are two ways you can look at that. You can either say, no, that's total BS, they're just getting it from the warp, they just won't admit it, which makes them hypocrites. Or, there's the or, it's 100% legit. Their power doesn't come from the warp, it comes from Fenris, and so it's totally fine. Interesting. In that case, they have a special power only they have access to and no one else has access to, but allows them to be the super special, super awesome ones who have supernatural powers that are totally A-okay, with no negative repercussions, mind you. You know what we call that in most writing circles? A Gary Stu trait. Massive Gary Stews. Oh, let's go a little further. Did you know that the chapter master, Grimnar of the Space Wolves, has a special axe called Morkai that he took from a Chaos champion of Khorne. And Khorne himself forged this axe. So this is a Chaos-made axe. He just uses it. Now you might think, oh man, there's got to be some negative repercussions, right? Like maybe he has to fight his own anger, or maybe he's at risk of being corrupted. No, totally fine with it. He's totally okay. In fact, he used this axe to, with one swing, decapitate the Grand Master of the Grey Knights. Now, I would think, man, so you mean to tell me that this Chaos weapon doesn't corrupt the man who uses it? Huh. You know, that's weird because, you know, Fulgrim, the Primarch of the Emperor's Children, came across a Chaos-possessed sword, picked it up, and he became corrupted over time, but, you know, I just guess Grimnar is just that fucking awesome. I guess. I don't know, man. I don't know. Maybe they're just that fucking cool. Maybe he's just so fucking awesome, he can pick up a goddamn super awesome Chaos axe, and he's cool, man. It's cool. Chaos possessed axe, the Space Wolves got you down, man. Now, of course, some people say, okay, look, but they don't like the Inquisition. That's one thing I like about them. I like the Space Wolves because they hate the Inquisition. Ah, of course, they do. They and the Inquisition and the Space Wolves have butted heads a few times. You'd think that the Inquisition would maybe try to destroy them, or maybe hold them accountable, or maybe, I don't know, try to investigate their chapter. No, in fact, the Inquisition seems to mostly let them by with anything. The Inquisition very rarely goes after the Space Wolves. Get this, no, get this, no, get this. Well, Fulgrim Sword had a demon in it. Does the axe have a demon in it, or was it just by one? T-Ball, I would argue that doesn't even fucking matter. It's a Chaos weapon. Let me put it to you this way, T-Ball. If you were a chapter master and you told the Inquisition you had an axe from the hands of Chaos itself, do you think they'd go, oh, that's fine? Demon or no demon, if you had a weapon that was forged by Chaos, do you think anyone in the Imperium would be A-okay with that? And besides, it's like you're saying, oh, well, it was just made by Chaos. That doesn't make it dangerous. I don't know. Chaos has proven to be pretty fucking dangerous. I would definitely be asking questions at the very least. I would definitely ask questions at the very least. But no one asks questions. No one investigates this. But do you know what you know what I would investigate if I were the Inquisition? You know what I would look into? How about this whole Wolven thing? Yeah, the Wolven. You don't know what the Wolven are? Here, I'll explain. You see, one of the things about Leman Russ's gene seed helix is that they go through something called the Canis helix. The Canis helix is when a new Space Wolf starts to become a Space Marine, they have to go through a physical transformation. They transform into a giant werewolf monster called a Wolven. In this time, they become nothing but a savage beast, and they're released into the wilds of Fenris, where they must learn over the course of a few days to overcome their wolf animal nature and return to being human and return as true sons of Leman Russ, true Space Wolves. Now, some can't overcome it and they just remain wild beasts forever, which is, yeah, that sucks. And then there are some Space Wolves who actually relapse and become Wolven later. They actually become beasts all over again and become Space Wolves in the middle of battle. Now, you know, that seems like a bad thing, right? Man, the Inquisition should really look into that. I mean, after all, the Dark Angels are terrified of anyone finding out about the Fallen. The Blood Angels are terrified of anyone finding about their black rage or their red thirst. They don't want people knowing about that. The Inquisition has looked into the Black Dragons because they have a mutation where they grow horns and big spikes out of their body. They are looked into constantly for that. The Black Templars are constantly looked into for the things they do. Even the Ultramarines have been looked into. Think about Captain Titus, the main character of Space Marine and Space Marine 2. He was looked into by the Inquisition just for even hinting that he could have been connected to Chaos. The Space Wolves turned into fucking werewolves. Nah, it's fine. We don't mind that. We're not gonna question that at all. I mean, sure, you turn into a giant monster werewolf that could consume your own allies. Who gives a fuck? Who cares? You're all Space Wolves. You're the goodest of boys, right? You couldn't possibly be. Nah, you're fine, man. It's totally cool. It's fine. Totally normal. Not a problem. You're so much better than all these other Space Marine chapters who actually have real problems to deal with.
And then there's this other thing. People like to say, oh, but you know, the Space Wolves, you know, they're so honorable. They're honorable warriors, and that's what makes them good. Honorable. Okay, yeah, let's talk honorable. I'll talk to you about honorable. Do you know how the chapter master of the Space Wolves killed the Grand Master of the Grey Knights? Do you want to know how he did it? I'll tell you how he did it. During the months of shame, which is when they were fighting the Grey Knights in the Inquisition, the chapter master of the Space Wolves said, hey, I am surrendering myself. I will come aboard your ship. Please allow me on board your ship. I am surrendering. Okay, come aboard the ship. We'll discuss terms of surrender. Chapter master teleports on board, and he says, hey, I'm here. Who's the leader here? And the Grand Master of the Grey Knights steps forward. That would be me. I reluctantly have to admit that I am the one leading this charge. Good to know. Cuts his head off. Has his soldiers with him kill the Grey Knights guarding him, and then they just yeet themselves back to safety. Yeah, super honorable. Faking a surrender so that they can kill the Grand Master of the Grey Knights and then yeet themselves back to safety. Totally honorable. Very honorable. God, I want that guy watching my kids. I trust him so much. Why did they kill the Grey Knights Master? They killed the Grey Knights Master because they wanted to cut off the head of the snake, essentially. Why did they kill the Grey Knights Master? Oh, you didn't know about the Months of Shame? Get this. Ready for more Gary Stoonis? Watch this. This is great. So, after the War of Armageddon, it turns out that there was a lot of Chaos Demon and even Angron out there. The Inquisition didn't want the whole world knowing about Angron showing up there, so they decide that they're going to start purging the people of Armageddon. And they get the Grey Knights to help them do it. The Space Wolves don't like that kind of thing. They're innocent people. We don't hurt innocent people, guys. We're the good guys. We're the Vikings. Vikings don't hurt innocent people. So they started evacuating citizens. The Inquisition and the Grey Knights say, hey, you need to stop doing that. The Space Wolves said, we're not going to stop doing that. So they attacked the Space Wolves and they tried to invade Fenris. This led to a war between them that lasts for a few months called the Months of Shame. But again, Vikings are the good guys. Obviously, if you just look at the history books, the Vikings are the good guys, right? You know what's funny? The Blood Ravens are known for being kleptomaniacs. They like to steal things. Wouldn't it have made more sense to make the Space Wolves the kleptomaniacs? They're just obsessed with stealing shit. Or maybe they act more like Khornate berserkers, where they just go into rages and just start attacking towns without meaning to. Yeah, and then there's also the fact that, yeah, you just brought it up. Good point. The Flesh Tears. Literally, the Flesh Tears and the Space Wolves get into altercations all the time because they don't like that the Flesh Tears have mutations or alterations to their gene seed. I'm sorry, Wolven. Okay, the Dark Angels seem pretty honorable. The Ultramarines snort honor. The Salamanders are the poster child for honor. It's not exactly a unique trait. You're right, it's not a unique trait. But I've heard people use that as an argument why they like the Space Wolves. They are the most honorable. So yeah, the Space Wolves are shit. Now here's the thing. If you say, look, I just like it for the Viking aesthetic, fine. Like them for the Viking aesthetic, that's fine. That's why they're there. That's literally the reason they exist. Because Vikings are cool, and everyone wants to be like the Vikings. Y'all, we love Vikings. Vikings cool, guys. Vikings awesome. Fine. You can like the Vikings. I don't care. You're free to. But, when I say the Space Wolves suck, I'm not saying that Vikings suck. I'm not saying you can't like them. I'm saying from a lore perspective, they suck. Now, if you want to challenge that and say, hey man, here's why they don't suck, feel free. But if you're just going to say, I like Vikings, fine, like Vikings. Because that's the only reason the Space Wolves are as awesome as they are. Because the writers at Games Workshop know, yay Vikings! Because for some reason we've gone through this phase of Vikings can do no wrong. Which is hilarious to me. And here's the other part that I find so funny. People like to say, oh, but you're a Dark Angels fan. Are you saying the Dark Angels don't have problems? What about the Fallen? What about all that? What about... And I always say the same thing. I never said it wasn't a problem. But you want to know what's interesting? the Fallen. The Dark Angels are interesting because they have problems that they have to deal with. The Dark Angels are interesting because they actually have to face their demons. The Dark Angels are interesting because they actually have consequences for their actions. The Dark Angels are interesting because they have things that they have to hide and be careful about. The Dark Angels are interesting because the Inquisition is actually investigating them. The Dark Angels are interesting because they are a well-written, complicated, unique chapter. The Space Wolves suck because there's nothing complicated about them. They are, in a sentence, no, a word, Vikings! And if you're okay with that, great. But that's why I hate the Space Wolves. There's nothing unique about them. There's nothing interesting about them. There's nothing complex about them. They are simply Vikings. And they don't even act like Vikings. There. I hope I explained myself. Oh, and for the record, Lionel Johnson kicked Lumen Russ's ass. Just saying. I love how people like to say, nah, man, the Space Wolves are so much better than the Dark Angels. F that, dude. There. But why is it not interesting that the Space Wolves have to overcome their wolves form? How is that interesting? How is that interesting? They literally stay as a Wolven for a few days, overcome it, and then go right into being Space Wolves, and some just turn back into them. The Wolven have no consequence. The Wolven have no consequence. It's not like the Inquisition is going to look into them about it. They know about it and don't care. And many Space Wolves never go through the transformation again. They transform into a wolf for a little bit, turn back, join the Space Marines, and most never turn into Wolven again. It's kind of like a, hey, this is kind of cool. They turn into werewolves. Holy shit. Does that cause anything? No, not really. Does it add to anything? No, not really. Do they actually get in trouble for this if someone finds out? No, not really. Then why do we care? Because it's different. Ooh, horrifying. You know, there's a whole chapter of Space Marines called the Exorcists, who part of their initiation, they have to have demons possess them. The Exorcists have demons fucking possess them, and they have to overcome those demons. Not only is that badass, but it actually adds to them, because for one thing, it makes them less likely to be taken down by demon possession because they grow an immunity to it. And 3, the Grey Knights and Inquisition hate them for it. The Exorcists are constantly being looked into by the Inquisition and the Grey Knights. So, them being possessed by demons has a consequence, it has a benefit, and it leads to problems for them. Wolven do nothing. It is literally just dressing on their cake. It is literally just, hey look, they turn into wolves. Okay. Why? Because Vikings! Did the Emperor do anything wrong? Yes, he did plenty wrong. The Emperor did a lot of things wrong. Okay. Need a new character to play as. Are there any chapters that are ancient Greek themed? Yeah, the Minotaurs. I think I'll go Sniper. Does anyone look into the Inquisition? The Inquisition often ends up looking into itself. What do I know about the new For Honor hero skin? Nothing. I know it's going to be samurai, that's it. Oh, by the way, when I do that weird noise like Vikings, I'm not making fun of people who like Vikings. I'm just saying I've heard that argumentation so frequently that it's just become repetitive at this point, and I just don't like it. Give me something more than just I like Vikings. Give me more than that. What is my favorite Legion besides the Dark Angels? The White Scars. Which Legion am I on? Dark Angels. Dark Angels 100%. Because Vikings is a total valuable reason, though. I said earlier, you can like them for being Vikings. That doesn't make them good. I said earlier, you can totally like them for being Vikings. And if you like them for being Vikings, great. Doesn't make them good. The only cool, unique thing about the Wolves are they drink beer. Yeah, adding on more to the aesthetics. They're the only Space Marine chapter that can get drunk because they've developed a mead that can actually make an Astartes drunk. Joy. It's just more aesthetics. It doesn't add anything. Are there any samurai-style heroes in Space Marine? There are no samurai-themed Space Marines or chapters that I know of. The closest would be the White Scars, or you could use my chapter, the Black Cobras. How much power does the Inquisition have in the Imperium? They are the unquestionable, the Inquisition is the unquestionable authority in most cases. White Scars because Mongols. No, I don't disagree, but the fact is the White Scars need more lore given to them. Right now they've been very overlooked. That's the problem with the White Scars. They've been incredibly overlooked. But if you look at what they did during the Horus Heresy era, they were actually goated. Do you see my point, Raven? No, I don't. What I see is that you missed my point and are trying to use my own words against me when they don't work. I can look to more than just the fact that the White Scars are Mongols. Who's the chapter master of the Black Cobras? Ieyasu Raigo. And no, I don't disagree. Right now, that the only thing I can say about the White Scars is that they are a lot like Mongols. They need more lore given to them. But what does that say? I'll be 100% honest. What does that say, Jonathan? The Space Wolves have tons of books and lore written about them. The White Scars have barely any. But the Space Wolves, all you can say about them is fighting!
Stored Promethium in the refinery to destroy the enemy swarm. The Cadians were tasked with providing assistance, but we have since lost contact.
What do you dislike and or like about the Salamanders? I like that the Salamanders have a dragon theme. I've always liked dragons, so that's cool. And Vulcan is a pretty cool Primarch, honestly. He's not just the nice boy that people say he is. He's also got a lot of really cool traits to him. Hold on.
There is sure to be an ambush.
And I do like those facets to them. I don't like that they're always just touted to be the ultimate good guys of the Space Marines. Just they're the only good boys out there. I don't like that. That's annoying to me. I'm the only one playing Space Marine these days? Hey, Bad Dog Baker, how you doing? Do the White Scars have anything that show that they are Mongols? Yes, their entire homeworld of Chagoris is basically the Mongolian steppe. And Jagatai Han was meant to basically be like, oh shoot. Oh shoot.
I am a phantom of death.
I've learned my lesson, don't go as a scout without teammates. Favorite class, Raven? Bulwark or Vanguard. I don't just like the Viking part, but love the werewolf part of the Space Wolves. Okay. You love the aesthetic. That's fine. You can love the aesthetic. That's all there is to them, though. Everything else about them is Gary Stu level horrible writing. Their lore is shit. Their Gary Stu level makes them uninteresting. They are perhaps some of the most boring and overrated Astartes in the Imperium. What do I think of the space sharks? Oh, the Kakarodons? They are pretty cool. The Kakarodons are pretty cool.
Chameleoline cloak activated.
Oh, I'm down? How? What do you think about the Raptors are my favorite successor chapter? The Raptors are pretty solid. The Raptors are actually pretty solid. I like them.
While I stand, none of my brothers will fall.
Brother.
There we go. Big fan of Tyberos getting bigger at every cover. Yeah, he kind of does. Tyberos is just a big boy, ain't he?
Tyranids have no vibrant tactics.
Raven's reason for designing the Space Wolves because they are more popular than the Dark Angels and the White Scars. Jonathan, way to dismiss everything I've said. Bro, you're just mad because I pointed out how your favorite Space Marine chapter is shit and you can't handle it. As the Bible says, they hated him for he spoke the truth. How about instead of just dismissing all of the things I've said, how about you give me a reason to actually think about something different?
Limbs injected.
Are there dinosaurs in Warhammer 40k? Yes. The Eldar Exodites ride dinosaurs. Jonathan wants attention, not facts. Yeah.
Their numbers are no match for our trade.
But my boys, the Thousand Suns. I'll say this, Sylvaris. I actually like the Thousand Suns more than I like the Space Wolves. My problem with the Thousand Suns, my biggest problem with the Thousand Suns, is they are not written well in the slightest, but they should be. The Thousand Suns are one of the weakest Chaos Legions out there, but they should be stronger than they actually are.
Chameleoline engaged. The tide of alien vermin swarms this way. Check your aim.
That Biovore's tough. Finally. What do I think about the Black Templars? They're cool. I like the Black Templars. I feel Magnus is a one-dimensional character. Actually, the funny thing about Magnus is I don't think he's one-dimensional. I think he's three-dimensional. I don't think he's... I think most writers just aren't sure how to handle him. That's the problem. I think a lot of people like to approach Magnus as he's just the wizard boy. He just does the magics. I think there's more to him than that, and you see that in one of the Horus Heresy books when Jagatai Khan goes to speak with Magnus. You actually see that Magnus and Jagatai Khan had a very close friendship, and I wish that they expanded on that more. I really do wish they did. The reason I can't enjoy the Thousand Sons is because not only are they one of the weakest Chaos Legions, but they're just not written well by anyone because people just like to treat them as a punching bag, which is sad. They should be more than that. I mean, you basically gave them the Rubric Marines to be mindless puppets, you know, just mindless tools to be torn apart. What faction in Warhammer 40k would you say is a Gary Stew? The Tau are typically touted as Gary Stews. The Ultramarines, the Space Wolves. Well, if you mean beyond the Imperium, I would say the Tau probably are the biggest. What do I think about Necronomicons? Do you mean the Necrons? They're fine.
Stealth ready.
My wizard boys are lost potential, and it saddens me. Yeah, that's what's tough about them. I tease them a lot because they're easy to tease, but if you want my opinion, they need to be better written.
Guard camp. No sentries posted.
Well done, Chance. Well done.
Reporting in. Team has arrived at the Imperial Guard encampment.
Talassa, you need to acquire the Astra Militarum demolition codes required to deploy and arm their ordnance. Source one from any soldier you see, alive or otherwise.
You would say Tyranids are Gary Stews? Tyranids are just one-dimensional enemies. It's hard to really call them Gary Stews or otherwise.
Nothing spotted.
I wish the word bearers were written better. Yeah, talk to my brother. He's a huge word bearer defender. You should talk to him. I'm not as up to date with the word bearer lore as he is.
We have located the code. Proceed to the Prometheum refinery and complete the demolition preparations.
Alright. Orcs? The orcs aren't really Gary Stews because they don't do anything necessarily good. They just destroy. How to make the Space Wolves less Gary Stew? You'd have to go all the way back to 30k and start rewriting it from there, but I'll tell you the first thing that I would do to make them less Gary Stew, make some of what they do have consequence.
On the other side.
Like, how about if they actually are investigated on the regular for the Wolven? How about if the Inquisition puts them under a lot of restrictions or tries to decommission them because of the Months of Shame? Like, just do something to them to show that they can't just get away with things that other chapters would be decimated for. Raven, how ruthless are the World Eaters? Incredibly. Imagine Space Marines literally too angry to die. Maybe get some distance. I'm down. Gotta wait. Anyway, I mean, my understanding of your rant is that you don't like them because they are the exception to the rule. I can say that I view most of the chapters as bland because they're haughty pricks. Are you for real, bro? You took everything I said and your basic takeaway is that they're the exception to the rule. That's what you took away. Okay, so you're willfully dismissive. Jonathan, that is willful dismissiveness. You basically took all the criticisms I threw at them, and your only takeaway is, yeah, well, they're the exception. Tell me, dude, Jonathan, what do you call an exception to a rule in a story, especially a large arcing story where everyone has problems? Where every faction, every group has problems, where they all have holdbacks or drawbacks, where they all follow the rules. What do you call that exception to the rule? You know what you call it? A Gary Stew, a hypocrite, an annoyance, an irritant. That's why I don't like them. Because they are hypocrites. They are Gary Stews. They are irritating from the lore writing perspective. He's drunk? I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit. I don't think Doomsday would fit in the 40k universe. He'd get destroyed. Do I think Angron could be saved? I don't know at this point. Which faction do I think has the worst writing? Right now either the Eldar or the Tau. Alright, let's go somewhere else. Oh. Cool. I upgraded the perk. Yeah, Tyranids also have bad writing? They do. For sure. Have I seen the movie The Passion of the Christ? Yes. I have seen it. You watched it yesterday? Cool, man. It's excellent. My roommate is on Space Marine 2 and my listening. Oh, is he listening to my rant about the Space Wolves? I hope so. But yeah, if y'all don't know what chapter I'm running, I'm basically I like to play my Black Cobras. He says Space Wolves are more savage than Ultramarines. Oh, I'll give you that. They're savage. They're more savage than Ultramarines. I think that's where the superiority stops, if I'm being honest. What engraving would I put on a sword, Raven? Bible verses. Can an Ultramarine ever take off their armor and just rest? Yeah, Space Marines can take off their armor and rest. They do. They totally can. How many Primarchs are still alive or dead? We only know of a few that are actually dead. Ferrus Manus is dead. Sanguinius is dead. Omegon is dead. Conrad Kurz is dead. The rest we are just not sure about. Well, also if you count the lost Primarchs. Did I explain why the Ultramarines are Gary Stews? Because they're overblown, Matt Ward wrote them to be Gary Stews. They can basically do things that no other chapter can do. They're your basic Boy Scouts. Most everyone knows that they're Gary Stews.
The Acadians were tasked with providing assistance, but we have since lost contact. First, proceed to the Acadian outpost and establish their fate. You must then infiltrate the refinery and complete demolitions deployment. Trigger detonation only when the main swarm has entered the plaza zone. Captain Akaram will coordinate our efforts over box. Deployed and ready. Xenos filth over there. Skither to the grave, Xenos.
Who's more of a Gary Stew, the Ultramarines or the Space Wolves? The Ultramarines are more Gary Stewish, but the thing about the Ultramarines is they are themed to basically be the choir boys. That is what they're designed to be, and so, in a sense, you almost expect it. The Space Wolves, when you hear that they're Vikings, you're almost like, okay, they better do some cool Viking shit. They really don't. Alright, later, Brother Lorcath. I'm probably going to dip after this mission, too. I'm still tired from the long travel. Tomorrow will be For Honor Friday, so we will do some For Honor. Should I do it on Twitch or on YouTube? What do y'all think? There's nothing wrong with being a Gary Stew. There's a lot wrong with it. I'll post a poll on that in a second.
magazine.
By the way, Games Workshop changed the lore in the Dark Angels. How so? What'd they do?
Reload. This tide of Xenos is ending.
Damn, how many of you guys are there? When are they going to make a Spartan hero for honor at some point? I don't know. I know nothing about that.
Our banner awaits unfurling. Crush the ravenous brood. Searching round. Unwilling, despite the grip of battle.
Score my armor, reloading magazine.
Load up. Changing magazine. You failed that ultimate. You failed.
Thoughts on the theory that Titus might be a blank? He's been held down by Chaos before, and he's been near Psychers and Demons, and they haven't reacted negatively to him, so I don't think that's true. I think he's just unique.
Reloading.
There we go. Are there Space Marine chapters that use Knight symbols? Yeah, the Dark Angels, the Grey Knights, the Black Templars.
See nothing to the chittering Xenos.
How powerful are the Grey Knights? They're pretty damn strong. They're a very, very powerful Space Marine chapter. They are famous for fighting demons and sorcerers. They have a very large Librarius chapter, and they're very well known. Well, not well known, but very well seasoned in battle.
Skittle to the grave. Eventually saves. Honor our captive talent.
sorry guys, I'm just not in the mood right now. This stream didn't really go the way I wanted it to. I don't like dealing with trolls, and I've been having to deal with a few tonight. You can call me thin-skinned if you want, but I've dealt with enough trolls in my life, and I didn't want to deal with one tonight. So, I'm probably going to call it. I'm just not having fun right now.
I doubt an aerial scan would speed this long, but I'm beginning to wonder.
Not what we are looking for.
You might choose the Grey Knights as your favorite chapter. Yeah, they're a pretty well-liked chapter. Lots of people tend to like them.
This looks promising.
Captain, the demolition codes are secure.
Proceed to the Prometheum refinery and complete the demolition preparations.
What the hell? Oh, great. Villain roads. Just make tonight even worse.
Steel yourself! More are coming! What's the psychic
I know me wrong, the Grey Knights have their own problems, like I would argue Caldor Drago is a bigger Mary Sue than even the Ultramarines.
Take cover!
Ready to deploy.
What does the Inquisition think of the Black Cobras? They allow them, but they don't especially like them. The Black Cobras were supposed to be disbanded shortly after their creation. The fact that they're still active is a problem.
Eradicate every last thing. Keep going forward. Blockage negated. Fail that ultimate. All this unprocessed promethium shall make a pyre that will be seen from the stars.
What craft rule are you most interested in? I don't really know as much about the Eldar. That would be my brother's area.
seems we've hit an audio glitch. It's fine. Biovore.
Talassa, Canadians are running out of time. How close are you to the Promethean facility?
Entering the refinery, Command.
You are making good time.
Looks like preparations were close before the guard was wiped out.
Use the codes to prime the bomb and finish its deployment into the crude Prometheum well. Cautiously, if you know what is good for you.
This galaxy is not yours to devour. Still rejected. Melter charge primed. Deploying now.
Rites of activation have been observed. The generators hum in the machine god's name. Crane sequencing initialized. Delivering payload.
Not ready to deploy.
How's Lark? He's fine. He's just playing with his friends right now. Honestly, I wish I was with him.
Potential original sabotage generator 2. Secure immediately. X-axis aligned by the Omnissiah's will.
The pious. It's slow.
Attention.
back on track.
Drivetrain restored. Begin the course of locomotion, adepts.
Hostiles approaching. Generator 1.
Unsanctioned mechanical adjustments in occurrence of Generator 1. Follow only the divine protocols. Access point. Margin of error 0.0 nanometers. Blessed be the honest science divine precision.
Intercept the swarm nearing Generator 4.
Progress is progress, brothers. We are almost there.
Warning. Violent dismantling of Generator 4 in progress. Punish the ignorant iconoclasts.
You failed that mission.
Demolition deployment sequence completed. Nano errors logged under the science control Oculus.
Bomb is in place, Command. There is an observation platform overlooking the Cryptomethium fields. It will make a good vantage for your ambush.
We crush the ravenous brood beneath our boots. Load up. Follow me through.
Sorry, guys. Not in a good mood. I didn't want to stream tonight to rant and ramble like I did. I couldn't think of a good name for the stream, so I just called it the Space Wolves Suck because the Space Wolves got a new update and I'm not a fan of them. I knew that there were going to be some Space Wolves fans who came in and asked me about that. I knew that would happen. And I was just going to tell them basically what I told y'all. Like, I don't think they're very good. I think they're Gary Stews. I think that they're hypocritical. And I was going to explain my case. And look, you're free to like them. Everyone's free to like who they like. Space Wolves included. I just don't. All I ask is that you respect my reasons for not liking them. If you have reasons you like them, hey, you have your reasons. But I've never dealt with trolls well. I've never liked trolling. I know that some people say, dude, grow up, like, trolling happens. But the thing is, I don't deal with it well. That's part of the reason my Discord had a purge in the first place, because I was just surrounded by trolls. And it's the reason I still don't go on my Discord all that often. It's because just too many trolls there. I just don't deal with it well. I don't like it. I'm glad that you guys can deal with it better than I can. I just can't. I'm just not good at it. So, I lost my temper. I wasn't in a good place. So, yeah, kind of a shit way to come back to streaming. I know I just finished a vacation, but I honestly think I need another vacation. But I'm just talking to empty air right now. Everyone's already saying goodnight to each other, so I'm just going to go. Bye, guys.